Hey everyone, Shanta Jackson here, the author of the Journal of a Woman with Lived Experiences, a 21-day guided journal. My purpose in life is to help people to help themselves and others, and that's why we're here today. My goal is to empower, inspire, inform, and educate you, and bring on guests that do the same. My next guest is a native of Champaign, Illinois, and she has 17 years experience in human services and education, and she is also the founder of a women's shelter in Clarksville, Tennessee. Everyone, please welcome Dr. Toi Dennis, and we'll be talking about how to do the work to become a better you. Hey, Dr. Toi, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me today. You and I, this is our first time meeting a
Yes.
few months ago, our first time, and we have no connections, but we're connected
Mhm.
somehow. So we connected on Facebook, and I followed you, and I saw that you have your new book out, doing the work to become a better you, which is an inspirational 30-day guided journal. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But I'm all about supporting other women, and you are a community servant. I read your bio is very impressive. All of
Thank
the
you.
awards that you've been nominated for, the awards that you've won, the work that you've done. Just your research on the effects of homelessness on children and their families, or the effect of the homelessness on children's mental health. And so I'm very impressed. And the purpose of my show is to, of course, I feel like I have a lot to give, but I want to create platforms for other people. And so that's why you're here today. So again, thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm excited to share and dialogue with you this afternoon. Happy Saturday, everybody.
Yes. So you are in Clarksville, Tennessee, correct?
Yes, I am in Clarksville, Tennessee.
And how long have you been there?
I've been here since 2011.
Since 2011. Oh, and then shortly after, because you're originally from Champaign,
Yes,
Illinois. And so
yes,
in 2012, you founded Serenity House Women's Shelter.
yes. Founded Serenity House Women's Shelter. The mission is to provide transitional shelter and supportive services to homeless women and children in the area. So when I moved here, I did some research on trying to see what was the gap that we were having or we were seeing here in the community. And my focus is transition. We have a domestic violence shelter here. We have other shelter services here, but I wanted to help bridge the gap to help women become more sufficient to get back on their feet, to provide them with housing and other supportive services that are here in the area.
So what motivated you to do that? You're not from the area. So I'm taking it back to 2011. You're not from the area, and 1 year later, 12 months later, you started a nonprofit organization to service women in the community. Like, what was your motivation behind that, and what gave you the confidence to do something like that?
Well, my motivation behind it was my own personal experiences and trials and tribulations, struggles growing up. And when I was doing my dissertation, I did my dissertation on homelessness and how it affects children's mental and behavioral health. So it's always been an interest, it's always been a passion. And it was people like myself and yourself and people in my community growing up that helped my family when we had trials and tribulations and struggles. So God put it in my heart and on my spirit many, many years ago, and I sat on it for a while. And when I moved here, I knew that there was a need, but I wanted to make sure that if I was going to try to meet the need or help with the need and do community service work, that I was going to not just be doing something, just be doing it, but again, try to help bridge the gap here in the community. So when I founded the organization, again, I wanted to focus on transition. Everybody's homeless situation doesn't necessarily have to be domestic violence or drugs or alcohol. Women fall on hard times, and there is a lot of single mothers in our community is growing daily where they just need help. And we are 40 miles from Nashville, so a lot of the women that come to this community sometimes come from larger cities. So being able to have certain resources in our community is important. So just wanted to help, provide a better service to homeless women and children here in the area.
Okay. And we have Tiara McFall checking in on Facebook, and she says, "You're the best mentor ever."
Oh, thank you, T.
So everyone, we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube, so please do post your comments and questions for Dr. Toi. Dr. Toi, let's talk about your book. Tell me about doing the work to become a better you.
Wow, doing the work to become a better you. Again, it's personal. I'm gonna say maybe about 2 years ago, I found myself stagnant. You know how there's things that you know that you need to do, there's things that you want to do, but you haven't been able to do them because you've had things that you let hold you back, or I wasn't prioritizing. So anywhere from being in a relationship to working on better in my career, just being a better person in general. So as I was writing and doing the work, I was doing the work. I felt like I needed to take some time and sit down with God and work my way through some things so I can become a better person, a better leader, a better woman, a better mother. So in this book is 30 days of inspiration of different things that you can do. And each chapter may relate to, people may relate to it differently, depending on whatever the work is, because we all have something that we want to work on. And so for me, it was just working on myself, spiritually, mentally, physically, all those different things.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that. And this conversation, so we booked a couple of weeks ago, and leading up to this, I was like, what am I going to talk to her about? What are the questions? How can I make it relevant to myself and to my audience? And it's so timely because I'm actually in the process of doing the work to become a better me. I have my own business and I work a lot. And what has happened is, so there's Shanta Jackson, the chief executive of Cause Engagement Associates, and then there's Shanta Jackson, the personal brand and the author and the speaker, and then there's Shanta Jackson, the mother. And I am doing everything for everyone else. And yeah, and you know what? I accepted. I have a project right now that I accepted. Like, not all money is good money, right? And
Right.
when I tell you I'm losing my weekends, I'm losing my evenings, I'm not cooking, I don't have the energy or the motivation to exercise. And it's temporary, but it's a temporary roadblock. And so I just recently I said, you know what? I got to stop this. Like, it's to the point where I don't even want to do anything for like 2 days in a row. I'm like not productive. I have brain fog. I can't do anything. And so my guest last week, Christian Brianna, her company is called Dim Chakras, DEMCHAKRAS, everyone, dimchakras.com. She talked about our seven chakras, or so the seven energies, or the alignment in our body. And I actually, since that conversation, that was meaningful for me as well. But since that conversation, I started to do the work for myself. And I'm starting to ask myself questions like, okay, Shanta, remind yourself of your vision and what it is that you want for yourself. And personally, are you making the decisions that align with the vision for yourself and what it is that you want? If you are, and what's working well, Shanta, continue to do that. What's not working well, let's figure out why it's not and what changes you need to make. But I'm also doing this for my business as well, as far as my career. What is it that you want? Because now I think I'm at my transition phase, but I've kind of allowed people to define professionally what it is that I do. And I've accepted projects and I'm doing work that is not enjoyable sometimes. And some projects are enjoyable, but I can't spend the time that I want to because I accepted this. And so it's just like a lot of personal work that I'm doing. And I started today. I bought my essential oils and I bathed and I made sure I put my oils on my body, and I drank tea. I meditated, I prayed. This is stuff that I normally do, but I was just kind of blocked and I couldn't focus for like maybe like the past two and a half weeks.
Mhm.
Danielle is checking in Baltimore, and she says, "Thank you for all the work that you do in the community."
You're welcome.
So take me through your book and the work of wisdom and encouragement. Your first chapter, you start off and you say, "You are not alone."
You are not alone. Sometimes we feel like when we're going through, when we don't have anybody to, when you're a leader and you're an encourager and you pour into people, sometimes you feel like you don't have people that pour into you. And you know, the saying is, it's lonely at the top sometimes. So to know that God is with you, to know that He hears your prayers, to know that you do have other encouraging people around you. Maybe sometimes people that you have around you don't know what to say or don't know how to pour into you because they feel like you pour into them all the time. But I've learned that, you know, there are people who truly love me, who truly want to see the best for me, who truly care. So allowing those people to give me feedback, allowing those people to share some of their stories and their inspiration with me and being acceptive of it is really, really important. So you're not alone. I mean, we're not alone. God is with us. And even when we don't hear His voice or even when we don't see Him moving in our lives, He is moving in our lives. And sometimes He just wants us to be quiet. He just wants us to sit down. He just wants us to focus on Him. So when I started writing this book, that is what I was doing. I was going to sit down, focus on Him, and not think about all the things that you just mentioned, you know, the pressure to perform, the pressure to put out, getting involved in everybody else's stuff, but not prioritizing my own things. That was something that I would do, saying yes to everything and saying no to myself, you know, trying to make everybody happy, trying to help everybody. But, you know, in the field of social work, social services, if you're trying to help other people and you're no good, your spirit ain't right, it's hard to provide therapy. It's hard to work with other people. It's hard to pour into other people. But I have learned that I have done my best work when I was going through, when I was broken, when I was going through my healing process. I was able to still continue to shine in certain areas, but as I was working with other people, God was still working on me. So you're not alone. We're not alone. God is with us. And, you know, sometimes we don't want to hear a bunch of spiritual stuff. We just want to talk to people or we want somebody to listen. And it's good to have those type of people in your corner. But in the end, when you don't have anybody, and I've been there where I've hit rock bottom and I didn't have anybody, nobody to talk to, just sitting in tears, I just had to pray. And through prayer is where I got my confirmation. When everybody walks away from you, people treat you a certain type of way, even though you're genuine and you're a caring person, everybody's not going to treat you the way that you treat them. You have God. And God has been there for me. That's what I know. That's who I lean on. He is my everything. And I mean, you're not alone. So that's the first chapter.
Yes, and one thing that you just said was two things that you just said, but one is just being silent.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this book, the seven spiritual laws of success, and one of the laws for like pure potentiality and how you can reach your pure potential is to literally sometimes be silent because we are distracted a lot. And I actually just did a speech with some young girls for Girls Who Brunch. And the topic was how to be happy with yourself. And that's one thing that I said is to be by yourself and to be silent. Listen to yourself. We have a lot of different distractions. So you listen to yourself, but then also in your silence, you're going to start getting those messages and you get to hear when you're being silent. So this is literally, and I mean this literally, everyone, like literally silence. Sometimes we like to get dressed and take a shower listening to music, or we like to cook and listen to music, or have the TV on, or whatever it is. But literally sometimes just practice being silent. In our cars when we're driving, turn off the radio, like literally just be at peace and pay attention, nature, everything. And you'll start getting different messages and ideas, or if you're lacking creativity or motivation for certain things. And I believe that those messages are from God.
Yeah.
So definitely in silence. And then also one thing that I've started to do, and it's working, And I'm a testimony for everyone. It literally works. Of course, I have to make the decisions and I have to make choices and I have free will and I say yes or no, or I agree to do something. But what I mean by I'm not making decisions for myself anymore, I'm just kind of like letting things flow. And I meditate and I'm praying, even if it's just a 30-second, I kind of like, okay, is this the right thing for me to do? And then what are the consequences of me taking this action? Am I going to benefit from it? Am I going to be happy from it? Am I excited about it? And then how is it going to affect me personally, or my business, or how is it going to affect my son or the people around me for the decisions that I make? And so that's another form of me kind of like being silent and intentional, and kind of, instead of just making decisions based off of what I think, to take the step back to ask for wisdom and to making my decisions.
I think it's really important. Sometimes when we want certain things to happen in our lives, we make decisions without thinking of the consequences or the people that it affects, because we're all connected to somebody, whether it be our significant other, whether it be our children. So I have learned over the years that, I'm a thinker. So I think my way through a lot of things when it comes to making a lot of decisions. But the first thing to do is to pray. I don't want to just be doing something just to be doing it. I've been in that season. Again, saying yes to certain situations, yes to certain projects, participating in certain things, getting into certain things and not getting anything out of it. So if I'm going to spend my time doing something, I want to make sure that I am getting something out of it. How is this affecting me? How is this going to help me? How am I going to help other people? So I think it's really important to pray and have that alone in that silent time. Sitting in my garage is something that I do a lot. I have sat in my garage for at least 2 hours in silence, just pull in, put the garage door down, and just sit there with nothing on, no music, no nothing. And that's when I hear God talking to me. That is when a lot of some of my decisions or answers to some of the questions that I've been praying about have come to me. Sitting in silence on my couch in the living room with no TV, no nothing, to the point where sometimes my daughter would ask me, Mom, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm just sitting here, and in the middle of the night, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., where God is waking me up to pray, and not only to pray for myself, but to pray for other people. Other people drop in my spirit. And it's kind of like, when it first started happening, I thought, okay, like, what does this mean? Why is this? But when it became like a regular thing, it's like, you're up, so you need to be up, and he has you up for a reason. So exercising prayer is something that's really important on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. Yes. On day 19 in your book, you talk about strip off the weights. What do you mean by that? Strip off the weights.
Strip off the weights, whatever is weighing you down. We carry a lot of things, to include other people's burdens, to include other people's problems. What are you holding on to that you need to let go of so that you can become a better you? Is it a relationship? Is it a job? Is it stuff that's going on in your head that you need to get your mind clear of? What is it? We all have something. So on that day, or when I was writing that day and that information, I was thinking about the things that I need to strip away. And sometimes we don't let go of stuff because we are afraid of the unknown. But I learned that when you let go of things that are not good for you, things that are toxic, things that are holding you back, God will bring new things to you. More doors will open. You'll feel lighter. You'll feel better. You'll feel happier. I'm a joyous type person, so I'm always giggling. I'm always smiling. But there were days where I was walking around where I didn't want to, like you said, be bothered with anybody. If anybody asked me to do something, it was kind of like, no, I want to do it. I just wasn't myself. So once I started stripping those weights and letting go of things that I didn't need to hold on to anymore, I started feeling better about myself. So whatever it is that you or one needs to strip themselves of, people, places, things, you can become a better person. That is helping you become a better you while you're working through the process. Let go of those things.
Relationships can make you, break you. Relationships. Listen, I'm not just talking about intimate relationships. Right. Business relationships, personal, family relationships, and intimate as well, right?
Yes.
They literally can change your life.
Yes.
For the better or worse. And then they say behind every successful man is a successful woman,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's his wife, his girlfriend, his mother, or his other girlfriend, whoever it is. It's usually someone. It's a relationship. Someone that's boosting him in that self-confidence. And so this woman, I was watching on IG Live an interview.
Mm-hmm.
This woman, she was talking about her transition to entrepreneurship, and she left corporate to pursue her writing career, but then she ended up going back to corporate. And the host asked her why, and she said, "Oh, I got into a relationship." And I was like, "Oh, see, that's why I'm." I was like, "Oh, wait, I think I'm gonna have to say this," like, see. And you know what? It's I quit my job in 2017. November 1, 2017 was my last day working and for someone else. And I was dating this guy at the time, and I had to stop dating him.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was working, and so I'm working my job full time, and I'm consulting on the side. So I have my business, but I'm not 100% into my, doing my business. I'm not 100% into it. So I'm about to do that, and I told him, I was just like, you know what, I can't. I saw the pattern. I already saw it, and I said, you know what, I can't lose myself. I was like, I'm about to take this leap of faith. Mm-hmm. And I knew, and that's one thing that I'm proud of about myself. And a lot of us, we have all of the answers are inside of us, mm-hmm. and we need to follow our intuition about someone. And sometimes we're being people pleasers, mm-hmm. or or it depends on, some of us are taught or just within our social and our cultural circles that, that having a man or being in a relationship is a prize, and that's like the ultimate goal, and that's why you want to have a man, so that's why you're single now, because you go by if that's the standard, right? Of course I want a man, but right. This is funny. This is like girl talk now. No, but seriously, I saw that, and so I'm one of the things I'm proud of myself is that I am able to see things and use my intuition. Mm-hmm. I did so in my dating life, I date a lot. Mm-hmm. So in my dating life, a lot of times, you have some people where you have a lot of things in common, and you might have some of the same love languages, and this is a really good person, or sometimes it's not a good person for you. But my friends talk about me. They're like, if he has wrong shoes on, anything. No, but what it is that I know who I am. I know who I am, and yes, I'm a little compromised, but I'm not willing to let anyone take me down. Mm-hmm. So that goes back to my we're kind of joking, everyone, but my serious point is like seriously relationships. So that weight that you were talking about, mm-hmm. they can make or break you, and so we want to make sure that we surround ourselves with people that are going to encourage us and not take away from us. Yes. We have to be. Yes, it's a give and take, and yes, you compromise, and you should be an asset to that person, but that person should also be an asset to you. And so, yeah, those relationships, those those things, that it can be detrimental to your progress and to your success. So I really appreciate you for talking about that. You also, and this makes me think of imposter syndrome, but yes, you belong, and that's your day 22. So what was happening there when you wrote that?
You belong. Sometimes we feel like we don't belong. Sometimes you get in the atmosphere, or you get around people, or you become a part of something and you don't feel like you don't belong. I felt like that once upon a time, like I didn't belong. Sometimes you feel inadequate, so you know that you're a powerful person, you know that you have all these things going for you, you know what people see, but how do you really feel deep down inside? And sometimes when you don't feel a certain type of way and you don't feel good about yourself, that can come out in certain atmospheres. But you do belong. We do belong. God puts us in places and in front of people and in certain situations for a reason. Now, we put ourselves in places and in front of people in certain situations as well, too. So when he says no, or when he's blocking certain things, be appreciative of that and don't look at it as a negative thing. What it said, delay is not always denied, but know that when the time does come, know that you do belong, that you are meant to be where you're at. You are meant to have the things that you have. Your success, whatever, because success is defined differently for everybody. So your success, what you've experienced, the things that you have gone through, all those things, those things have happened for a reason, and you belong where you're at. I believe that where we're at right now, even with COVID-19 going on, God is still blessing us. Things are still happening. Yes, people are having trials and tribulations. The economy is struggling. People are still getting sick. Those different kind of things. But he's also in the midst of us being still for the most part and not being able to function like we were functioning last year and the years before. He has done a lot of amazing different things in a lot of people's lives. So you belong. Know that you belong where you're at. Where you're at, you're in this season for a reason, and it's temporary. And I believe that things are only going to get better, even though you may be going through something. You still belong.
Yes, and then even just in our accomplishments that that we're making, and the spaces, and the tables where we're sitting at. Sometimes it's kind of like, well, and I hear people open with within their introduction sometimes. Well, I'm not like you all, or I only have this degree, or I only have this experience, but I have this to say. No, don't stop putting yourself down. Don't play yourself down. If you're at that table, you have something to offer. And
Yes.
I was in a space one time when I was an employee, and everyone at the table had a PhD except for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to make them. I had to make them respect me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to put on kind of I had to put on my homegirl hat, my attitude. No, meaning that I literally had to be like, wait a minute, I'm at the same table. I had to get sassy, and this is my attitude. I'm not that I said this, but I'm displaying to you my attitude. I was like, but I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here. I got something to offer.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't have me here. And then what started to happen? And this is what I knew, that it was time for me to move on, and that I had something, that it was something about me that other people saw in myself. And sometimes other people will see things in you before you see it in yourself.
Yes.
And this is true for me. I'm being more aware of that, and I'm trying to focus more of myself inside to recognize my talents and my gifts. But I do, but sometimes people do. They see things in you before you see it in yourself. And it got to the point where when we had external guests and conference meetings and different things, people would literally look to me to see if I had something to say, or even say, wait a minute, Shanta has something to say. Shanta's talking. These are clients, these are funders, stakeholders of forget the titles of who else was at the table. Shanta had something to say. Then that's when I was like, Shanta has something to say. I do have something to say. And so that's when I started pretending. I just started pretending like everyone that was around me was a client and I was a consultant and this was my business. And so, so yeah, you do belong in a lot of professional spaces, and especially in academia. I mentioned it, imposter syndrome. A lot of people say that, and I actually saw a young lady post on Facebook. She's in public health, and I believe she was facilitating or serving on her first a panel discussion around career opportunities for public health and during COVID-19. And she posted about imposter syndrome. And I just hate to see people, it's almost kind of like we're taught to have a certain way of thinking. Like we wouldn't have known about imposter syndrome if someone hadn't told us about it, right? So don't own that stuff, you know. So I don't know if she's watching or not, but yeah, you belong. Let's see, Raquel, she's joining in on YouTube, and when we were talking about the men being a prize or the ultimate goal for a woman, she says, yes, she's definitely heard that, and that's why you're single, you know, like as a joke. So, for your book, I also wrote a book, The Journal of a Woman with Lived Experiences. It's a 21-day guided journal, and I actually share some of my personal journal entries, and then I provide a guide for the reader and then space for the reader to write. And even though it's 21 days, and I actually start off with the power of storytelling, and I tell about a negative traumatic experience in my life with domestic violence or an unhealthy relationship that ended up being positive at the end. Everything works out fine, and I have no regrets about anything. But I was talking to a therapist on my show, and she was saying how it was interesting that I started off with my story of trauma. Usually that's kind of hard for people, and I was explaining, I was saying it's a 21-day guided journal, but there is no, I mean, you find the journal entry that resonates best with you. And so there's no particular order. It's not like day 1, do this, day 2, and then this is day 3. What about your book? Is it designed to go day by day in that order, or is it the same where individuals can kind of just pick and choose?
It's the same where individuals can kind of pick and choose what resonates with them. There's so many different topics in the 30-day process where, you know, maybe today, you know, you want to look at, you know, generations of faith, which is day 24, and then go back and look at day 3, choosing freedom and peace. It kind of just depends on what's really going on in your life and where you want to start with doing the work. So you don't have to follow the order, but the goal is to be able to look at each one of these days and get something from it and work on whatever it is that you want to work on to kind of help better your situation. Again, all of our situations is different. We all have work that we want to do. We're all going through something daily. Life can be super perfect, but we still need to do the work, you know, to become even better. So let's say a person doesn't have a prayer life and they want to pray more. You know, how are you going to go about doing that? You know, what are the steps you're going to take to pray? You know, sometimes we as people, we think that, you know, when we pray, it has to be perfect or we have to say certain things. I talk to God the same way I'm talking to you. Okay, God, this is going on. You know, how are we going to get through this? This is what I need. It doesn't have to be a certain type of way when you pray, because God hears and he sees everything, right? So, you know, pray, you know, ask God for what you want. Tell God what you need. But also reading his word, attending Bible study, you know, all those different things, you know, being connected with the body of Christ, I think is really, really, really important, especially in these times right now. And church has changed because we're not able to go to the church. We're not able to fellowship in that manner. But still, we're able to watch church on Facebook Lives. We're able to go to our church parking lots to participate. So the body of Christ has changed the way that we do things, but you are still able to stay connected. And then when you don't have the church, you are the church. We are the church. We are the walking church. Be connected with other, you know, believers and stay connected in that manner to where, you know, you putting God first daily in everything that we do is really, really important. It's something that I do. I listen to gospel music when I get up in the morning. I can listen to gospel music all day, every day. It helps my spirit. It helps me just have better thoughts and helps me be more positive. So I love singing about Jesus and learning about God and all those different kind of things. I like music in general, but gospel music is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I listen to gospel music, and then sometimes I listen to gangster music as well.
Oh yeah, I like Tupac and Biggie now.
Yeah, especially Tupac. a person that words of wisdom, empowerment. A lot of our hip hop artists and R&B artists, and including gospel artists, are prophets and messengers as well. I actually don't belong to a church.
Okay.
Here in Maryland, I've gone to church a few times, and I'm actually really close with a retired pastor. So the church, when I did go, I went to her church, and like very, very, very close with her. Text, call. So this is interesting that I don't go to church, but I'm really close with the pastor. And people that watch this show often, they know that I like to read various spiritual texts. So I like to read the Old Testament, and I'm reading the Quran, and then I'll read like just books on spirituality and different things like that. So I think having, defining what spirituality means for you and what religion means for you, and I think that's very important. And then also for us not to feel under the pressure that we have to do something like someone else does. Or like you said, like there's about prayer, like there's a right way to pray. There's a right, you're not, no, you're you are your own individual self, and you find what works for you. And if it's working for you, and if it's uplifting you, and if you're having positive outcomes in life, or when you have a bad time and you're able to get through that bad time, and you find a way, stick with that, and it's working. And so that's what's meant for you, because we all have our own different relationship with God, because we're all unique and different. I would like to close out by asking you, what is your vision for yourself?
Wow, what is my vision for myself? To be happy? No. What is the vision for myself? To continue to be an encourager, an influencer, to help other people help better their lives. That's a passion that I have. It's something that I enjoy doing. God has been good to me. I don't come from a how do I want to put this? I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. So all the things that I have, or all the things that I have accomplished, the success that you all see, I know that it has been nobody but God. But I want to continue to encourage others for my life, to be encouraging to other women, to other men, to let people know that, you can make it. There's nothing that you are going to go through, or that you're going to experience, that you're not going to be able to not get through. But I envision myself being happy, being in love, living my best blessed life in the future. God is good. So.
Okay. And so what's your next best step for yourself, and to continue with that vision? So I'm playing coach here.
My next best step to continue. You are playing coach here. My next best step is continue to work on myself, continue to do the work, continue to grow, because I believe that we do that daily. So continue to grow, be open to the new things that are developing in my life, not live in the past, because sometimes it's easy to do. So sometimes we put things on hold in our lives because we are in fear of what had happened before compared to what may be going on now. But I'm a mother, so my daughter is my first priority. So I want to be able to be a good role model and a good leader, influencer, inspiration for Genesis. My daughter's name is Genesis, to where she is not necessarily following my footsteps of being better. So I want to continue to grow. I think we grow daily. Continue to learn, continue to connect with the right people, and be able to embrace. I like research. I like learning. I like reading. So I don't ever want to be the smartest person in the room per se. I feel like you could have the world of education. I got a lot of degrees and certifications, but that doesn't mean that I'm the smartest person ever that's out there. There are other people who don't have any education at all that have a lot of wisdom to share. And I like sitting and talking with people who have been around the block a couple times, because those people can tell you and share with you about life, things that they may have experienced, because there's some things that, I don't want to ever redo again. If anything, I want to get better. I don't want to replay any bad situations. I want my life to continue to grow and flow and thrive and strive. And I want what God has for me.
Yeah.
Yes, you are coaching me. I love it.
So everyone that's watching, I want you to answer that question for yourself. If you haven't already, visit Dr. Toi's website. It is drtoi.com, and you can purchase a copy of her book. If you can post your book up for us, please. Yeah, so doing the work to become a better you, Dr. Toi, 30 Days of Inspiration. Visit her website, drtoi.com, and also you can follow her on Instagram. Her Instagram is on the screen. And if you haven't already, visit my website, shantajackson.com. I just updated it to where I added my YouTube videos there. And upcoming guests, everyone, November is booked. I'm really excited. We have we're still in October, but I'm just really excited. I have Anthony Hamilton as a guest November 7th. Yeah, I reached out to him and I was like, "Is this you?" He was like, "Yeah, this is me." I was like, "Okay, I have a show." He was like, "Okay, well, email so." I was like, "Okay," and then he was like, "How are you today?" I was like, "I'm good." And so
maybe he'll sing for you. Maybe he'll sing for everybody.
We'll see. But that's not until in November. But I have a pretty good lineup, and you're one of the individuals, like I said, that I like to bring on, that I feel that have something that has something positive to say, something impactful, inspiring, and you're very empowering, and you're a very, very, very impressive woman. Everyone, again, if you haven't already, visit her website, drtoi.com, to purchase a copy of her book, and also follow her on social media. We'll close out with a comment from my, before we close out, everyone, what's your vision for yourself? Write that down. That's something you can do today. This is the weekend. It's Saturday. I have a lot of viewers on the West Coast, so it's still morning for you all. What's your vision for yourself in your life? Right? What do you imagine yourself doing? So that way, if you have a vision, then that means that you can be more intentional. And when you're making the decisions, we talked about, dropping that dead weight, or just the weight in general, not that it's dead weight, but just weight, or just our relationships and the decisions that we make. If you have a vision for yourself, then you're more intentional about your choices, right? So everyone, if you can, I would encourage you to journal and write that down. And that's also one of the journal topics in my book as well, your life visioning. And we'll close out with my favorite person, my mom, Belinda. She says, "Good morning, everyone." She's in Las Vegas. Another great topic today: having faith in God and praying before I start my day gives me hope. I also listen to Leandra Johnson when I wake up.
Yes, that's a good song to listen to.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, Dr. Toi, for joining me today. And I hope that you all are inspired. And again, follow me on social media, and keep watching every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.